Good afternoon, friends. You are listening to Full Toss on Radio Dil online. It's a free website, radiodil.com, for iPhone downloads, application known as Radio Dil. You can also listen to us on your regular phones. Dial in the number 408-418-5000. Once again, it's 408-418-5000 for Android phones, application known as Tune Radio. Phone number in the studio is 732-800-1008. That is 732-800-1008. आप सुन रहे रेडियो दिल से दिल तक. July 14th, 2012. Time in the studio is 2:06. This is your host, Amit. Would like to welcome all the listeners, and above all, Amanat, welcome to the broadcast.
Thank you very much, Amit. It's a beautiful day in New Jersey. Cricket is happening all over the world.
84 degrees outside with overcast skies. There's a lot happening this weekend, Amanat, domestically as well as internationally.
Yes.
We have a jam-packed show in our hands today, Amanat, and just a quick overview of what we will be discussing today.
Okay.
We'll definitely talk about the current match that is happening right now, West Indies and New Zealand.
Yes.
Where West Indies have actually attained a score which was at one point seemed not achievable at all.
Yes, they managed to score 264.
Yeah, indeed, sir. And this is something, a very good half century by Kieron Pollard. We'll also talk about Sri Lanka and Pakistan series.
Yes, they're just now concluded.
There are a lot of retirement news in the cricketing world, Amanat.
Yes, a couple of big stars.
So I know we have those things on card also. Plus we have a This Day in Cricket segment.
Okay.
We'll also talk about some of the news for the upcoming India and Sri Lanka tour.
Yes.
There are some replacements that are in place right now, so we'll talk about them. Then obviously we have our domestic cricket.
New Jersey cricket.
A lot of the leagues, they're playing matches against each other. This week also we have some of the highlights from the matches that took place last week. Also, we'll let our listeners know, Amanat, the upcoming matches for today and tomorrow.
Okay.
Amanat, without wasting a single second now, let me get right into West Indies and New Zealand. Let me just share the scorecard with those of our listeners who missed this inning completely. By the way, New Zealand has started their innings now. Currently, New Zealand is 9 of loss of 1 wicket in 1.3 overs. And the wicket lost is of Martin Guptill.
Yes.
He was LBW bowled by Best at duck.
A duck.
But before that, this is how things unfolded. This is the 4th one-day international that is being played at the Warner Park at St. Kitts. It's a beautiful stadium. Mm-hmm. It's an upcoming stadium, Amanat. It's an upcoming venue.
Yes.
For Caribbean cricket. And I think they have done a superb job with the stadium. Mm-hmm. And I hope they will get some more matches there. I know some of the Team A... go ahead.
No, I think the last few years it has come up very well. After the World Cup.
The World Cup.
Yes.
I know they have a lot of domestic cricket that they play there. It's not a very heavily populated area anyway.
But it's a very scenic island.
It's a very scenic island. It's beautiful stadium. But here's how things unfolded for West Indies. West Indies beginning wasn't really a dream start for them. Tim Southee put a dent into their opening partnership as soon as the West Indians came at the crease. Chris Gayle, Charles was out on 1. Chris Gayle was out on 16. Smith, he was out on duck.
They were 20 for 3 at one stage. Marlon Samuels, he scored 46. Dwayne Bravo, 18. Kieron Pollard and Thomas, who's a wicketkeeper now. He's an all-rounder also. Thomas and Pollard, they steadied the ship for West Indies, Amanat. Yes.
At one point, West Indians were struggling. I remember watching, I picked up the innings when they were 108 for 5. Already at that time,
yes,
in 20 or 20 some odd overs, and at that time it looked like they would probably only achieve up to 170, 75 or 80, 180. Nobody expected West Indies to go up to 264.
Yes, I was very surprised.
I'm pleasantly surprised. Mm-hmm. I think it's a pretty good total for West Indies to post. But here's how things unfolded. Kieron Pollard, 56, a pretty hefty half century. Thomas, 37. Darren Sammy, 26 or 22 deliveries with 1 boundary and 2 sixes. Andre Russell.
Yes.
He played for Daredevils.
IPL star.
He faced 16 deliveries, out of which he scored 29 runs, 2 boundaries and 2 sixes. Helped West Indies get to a total of 264 all out in 49.5 overs, Amanat.
Yes.
And Currently, New Zealand is at 13 for loss of no wickets in loss of 1 wicket in 1 over. The batsman lost is Martin Guptill. Currently, you have Robert Nicol, who is at 7, and Brandon McCullum is yet to open his account.
Yes.
Your take, Amanat.
It's quite interesting to see how West Indies managed to recover. And Darren Sammy, I think he fancies himself as a good batsman now.
Yes.
Now that he has scored a Test century, he thinks he's a batsman. He's coming ahead of Andre Russell. I was very surprised by the batting order lineup. Well, he scored 29 runs, 26 runs, which you cannot blame him. In 22 balls, he delivered 26 runs. Andre Russell, see, if the tail wags, that gives a tremendous boost to the entire team. People fail to realize the importance of the tail wagging. When the tail wags, every run scored is almost the mental equivalent of 2 runs scored. A partnership of 20 is equal to the partnership of 40.
Well, after 5 down, it was a task for West Indies that is absolutely, at one point, as I mentioned earlier, it wasn't. I mean, they didn't even think of achieving this total.
After 105 for 5 in 26 overs, they managed to put up 264. It's very creditable. So let us see, but it'll be interesting if New Zealand can win this match, because that will make it 2-2.
And here comes my challenge for you.
Okay.
The match is going on, the chase is going on, and this is where you're good at.
Yes, I'll be able to give you a prediction, say at halftime or before the show ends.
Absolutely, sir. We have a lot to discuss during the show, and what I will do, Amanat, is I'll keep our listeners up to date.
Okay.
Periodically.
Okay.
On the scorecard. And once again, New Zealand will have a target to chase 265 in 50 overs. And they're already at 13 for loss of 1 wickets in 2.3 overs, with Nicol batting at 7. And Brandon McCullum still is he's yet to open his account. Okay. Friends, you are listening to Full Toss with Amit and Amanat on Radio Dil. You can also catch us online, radiodil.com. Phone number in the studios is 732 800 1008. Once again, 732-800-1008. Amanat, I'll move on to Sri Lanka and Pakistan.
Yes.
The recently concluded series. And I know for the second test, you and I had talked about it. This was definitely a rain-affected match also.
Yes.
Which we all expected that. And just a quick correction, that was the third test.
Third test.
That was not the second, the third test. And here's a scorecard. Let me just read the scorecard real quickly, Amanat, and then we'll delve into it. Pakistan batting first scored 226, 75 for Asad Shafiq, 22 for Mohammad Hafiz, and 29 for Tawfiq Umar for the opening partnership. The rest, 2 batsmen, Azhar Ali and Yunus Khan, they were out for duck. Misbah-ul Haq scored 40. And tail did not wag at all, as my friend always mentions that. And so Pakistan in their first innings scored 226. I thought there was superb bowling by Pereira, Amanat. He really bowled well.
Green top wicket. And
yes.
That's why Sri Lanka.
Yes, and you talked about that last week.
Sri Lanka put Pakistan into bat. It was like a no-brainer.
I thought Kulasekara and Pereira, they had a pretty tight hold on Pakistani batsmen.
I think they kept them in check.
Look at Kulasekara, 16 overs, 4 maiden, 44 runs, 2 wickets, and an economy rate of 2.75. Pereira, 18 overs, 5 maidens, 63 runs, 4 wickets, and rest everybody else also pretty much chipped in really well. Amanat, Angelo Matthews, Rangana Herath, and Fernando. They each had, they freed their arms also. They restricted Pakistan at 226 in 72.5 overs, Amanat.
Yes, I think that is a very creditable.
That was very creditable. Here comes Sri Lanka. In the first innings, 75 for Parivartana. Chandimal was unfortunately out at 8. Kumar Sangakkara was bowled by Junaid Khan. Your boy Junaid Khan, you talked about him last week. Out on duck. Jayawardena, again, another dangerous batsman, out on 12. 73 for Samarvira, 9 for Matthews, 20 for Prasanna Jayawardena, 75 for Pereira, Amanat. He not only bowled well, but he also equally batted as well.
Yes, and it's very interesting to see. That was the reason why Sri Lanka managed to put up a good total. They lost their first 3 wickets very quickly.
And first very good wickets.
Top 3 wickets.
Top 3 wickets. 337 is what Sri Lanka achieved in the first innings, Amanat. Here comes Pakistan to bat again in the second innings. Mohammad Hafiz, a very good half century. 52, 4 for Tawfiq Umar, but here's how things change. Azhar Ali, 136.
Yes.
100 for Asad Shafiq.
19 and 19 for Yunus Khan and 5 for Misbah-ul Haq, helped Pakistan get to a total of 380 and 195 for Sri Lanka in second innings, and the match was drawn.
It was very creditable that Pakistan were able to draw this test match.
It was very creditable. It was very creditable. In fact, it was very good to see the way Azhar Ali and Asad Shafiq, they also batted.
And also on the last day, Adnan Akmal gave a very good partnership to Asad Shafiq, and that saved the game for Pakistan.
Yeah, Akmal scored 35 in that innings.
Yeah, they had an unbeaten partnership of 81 runs, which really prevented Sri Lanka from winning the match on the last day. Otherwise, there was enough time for them to go for a victory.
I know Sri Lanka sealed the series anyway with 1-0, but this was definitely Pakistan gave them a very good fight.
And I think Pakistan will now have to find a way to ease Yunus Khan out. They'll have to play one more match and say goodbye. They have to bring in more youngsters.
Well, so far, whatever they have done, Amanat, they have done excellent job with the youngsters they're bringing in. We talk about Junaid Khan, Asad Shafiq, or Azhar Ali. All these lads are pretty impressive.
It's a very good start for Pakistan that they have brought youngsters. They're blooding them in. And I'm sure they're going to build a good team out of this bunch of youngsters.
And just Amanat, take a look at the scorecard for New Zealand. They're chasing 265. Right now, they're 24 for loss of 1 wicket in 3.3 overs with Nicol at 18. And McCullum is still not, he hasn't opened his account yet.
Yes.
Nicol has faced 11 balls and he scored 18 with 2 boundaries and a 6. So, and again, they're scoring at a rate of 6.85 at this point.
Also, they have that advantage. The first 15 overs, field restrictions are there.
Correct, with the power plays.
So that will, in a good thick edge, is going to go for a boundary.
Amanat, since we're talking about power plays and everything, do you feel that ICC is, clipping, chopping too many things here with the power plays? Now, recently, last month, they had a conference in Singapore. Or Hong Kong, I believe, and a lot has been discussed how to, make some more modifications to some of the things that are happening on the ODI format. I personally felt that there are too many changes here. I like changes. Don't get me wrong.
Okay, the way to handle changes is to say we will implement this change for next 10 matches or 20 matches and then publish the findings. How well it worked. There has to be like a benchmark. Why are you doing a change? What do you expect out of this change? And did that happen or not? Only when you take a process-oriented approach, you'll be able to make a judgment whether the process worked or not. Take, for example, power plays. I would prefer a power play during the boring time of 15 overs to 30 overs.
Well, that's what they have done. Before 40 overs, now the team batting second will have to take the...
I would prefer the power play to be taken between overs 15 and 35. Because that's a time... Because towards the end, everybody goes on a rampage. So, during the boring time of 20 to 30 overs, force people to take a power play.
Ever since the power plays have been introduced, Amanat, it has taken captains a very long time to adapt to them initially.
Yes.
And when I say a long time, meaning absolutely a long time.
Yes, I think between the overs 20 to 30 is the time they'll have to take the power play.
Now, once again, those of our listeners have no idea what we're talking about right now. With power plays, you have fielding restrictions.
Yes.
You're only allowed a certain amount of players outside of the inner ring.
Yeah.
And that gives batsmen a little bit more chance to free their arms. It also gives bowlers
a chance to take wickets. In fact, a good many times the power play proves to be counterproductive.
Yeah, it does. I agree with you on that one.
The batsmen take extra chances and get out.
Now, keeping the same topic in mind, Amanat, with the power plays, another topic of discussion that I want to bring in, and it was very evident this morning I was watching West Indies and New Zealand, is the usage of a DRS system, the decision review system.
Yes.
I just didn't feel that even Ross Taylor was comfortable in taking some of the chances. They're not sure yet. Some of the captains, you can still feel that. They're not sure exactly how to use it, when to use it, and whether they should even use it.
See, they need to use it. Now, when to use it and how to use it is a matter of practice and a matter of homework. You have to do your homework. Like, for example, every umpire has a certain area of confidence and a certain area of where he's grey. Yeah, his decisions are not that clear. That's why you need to do the homework and figure out what kind of decisions each umpire is strong or not so strong at.
Well, that is also for the coaching staff, Amarnath.
Yes, that's what they need to do the homework before, and then he can tell the captain.
Well, that's why you have 11, 12 members of the coaching staff there. That's
yes,
what they're there for.
So when the
well, that's what happens for NFL and all these leagues, right?
Yes.
Here.
So that's where better preparation will lead to better kind of questioning or better question of replays. And I think that's where all the teams have to work at it. And I think it's very important. It's not like questioning the umpire. It's the overall, the level of dissatisfaction has to come down. I like the DRS system for that reason. At the end of it, both teams are quite happy that they got a fair shake.
Friends, you are listening to Full Toss with Amarnath and Amit on Radio Dil. Online, it's a free website, radiodil.com. Phone number in the studios is 732-800-1008, 732-800-1008. Amarnath, an unfortunate incident that took place a few days ago, earlier this week. Mark Boucher.
Yes.
Well, here's what's happening right now. Mark Boucher has now retired from all formats.
Yes, very unfortunate.
But it was the unfortunate event that forced him to take the retirement early.
He was touring on behalf of South Africa and
England. They were playing against Kent, I believe. Who were they playing against?
Yes, I think they were playing
one of the county teams.
A practice game.
And the delivery from Imran Tahir took the belts off, and one of the belts hit Boucher in the eye, left eye.
He clean bowled the batsman, and the bail
dislodged and flew into his eyes.
Flew into his eye, left eye.
It was a scary situation, Amarnath, on the ground.
Yes.
I mean,
it lacerated his...
It lacerated, exactly.
His eyeball.
And he was taken in for
emergency
surgery, and after which he meaning Mark Boucher has announced his retirement, citing the reasons for long recovery.
Yes, it's an uncertain time. He don't know how good is his vision going to be.
And that's just unfortunate for somebody like Mark Boucher, who has served his country so well. He's one of the cricketers that played for a very long time for Cricket South Africa. Some of the boys who are playing for Cricket South Africa right now, they were probably watching cricket in their houses in the living room, and Mark Boucher was still playing for the country.
Yes, from '97, he's had a very long career. Yeah. And a very illustrious career. See, now since we're talking about Mark Boucher, I have to say, normally I always considered only Australians as great wicket keepers. They have that tradition of...
Boucher had his place also there, Amarnath.
Now, Boucher has to be in the pantheon of great wicket keepers. Like, whenever somebody talks of great wicket keepers, you think of Rodney Marsh.
Right.
Gilchrist, Healy, Wally Grout in my time. And there was no shortage of great wicket keepers from Australia. And a few here and there, you'll say from India, you had Farooq Engineer and Kirmani and Alex Stewart. Now, in the topmost tier, you have to include Mark Boucher. And it is very sad that he has to leave in such tragic circumstances. But remember, he goes with 999 victims. He has taken 999 victims in both Test and ODIs put together. I don't think that is going to get broken by anybody soon. He's the Sachin Tendulkar of wicket keeping.
And it was a pretty emotional press conference for a lot of his teammates as well, including Graham Smith, Jack Collis, Gary Kirsten. Rightly so. I think rather than retiring, he should say, I'm going to take my time to come back. Because if he can recover his eye, at least one match he should come back to get the 1,000. Well, here from the Full Toss crew, we wish him all the best.
Yes.
We thank him for his contribution to the cricketing world, what he has done.
He played for the IPL, also for Royal Challengers. So I think he's very well known in India as well.
And just real quick, Amarnath, over the years we have seen wicketkeepers using protective gear behind the stumps. A lot of times, we have seen when the spinners are on, you have seen wicketkeepers like Mahendra Singh Dhoni, Kumar Sangakkara. There are other wicketkeepers. I think Gilchrist started that wearing helmets.
Yes.
They also wear the glasses. People always question that. So why do you need sunglasses? While you're keeping.
Now you know.
Now you know why.
I wish he was wearing glasses.
I wish, exactly. Well, as you always say, a person is always wise after the decision, right?
Yeah. Hindsight is 20/20, literally.
Exactly. But that's the reason why we see a lot of the wicket keepers wearing helmets.
When you're standing that close, you cannot take a chance. Even if you don't wear a helmet to a spinner, you need to wear glasses. That is the reason. That's precisely the reason, sir, to protect your eyes. Like many of the basketball players used to wear big protective gear.
Even today also some of them they do.
So they don't get poked in the eye by mistake. So I think what happened to Mark Boucher should be a lesson to all the wicket keepers that you need to protect yourself.
Well, friends, Amanath, we'll move on to our segment This Day in Cricket. Friends, you are listening to Full Toss with Amit and Amanath on Radio Dil. Time in the studio is 2:26. Phone number in the studio is 732-800-1008. July 14th, this day in history, Amanath, in cricket.
Okay.
July 14th, 1951.
1951.
First color telecast of a sporting event. And it is not cricket, it was a CBS horse race.
Horse race.
First time a sporting event was broadcasted in color.
In color, okay.
That happened in today's day in 1951, July 14th.
Okay.
I'll take you now, July 14th, 1984. Now, you will know this thing.
Okay, West Indies were in England.
Yes, indeed. Headingley. Headingley is the venue. And you're talking about one of the Fab Fours of West Indians, the bowlers.
Bowlers, okay.
I'm talking about Malcolm Marshall.
He just tore them apart.
The one-handed warrior on that particular day.
His left hand was injured.
Yes. In fact, he injured his left thumb and he had a plaster on.
He batted with one hand.
He was advised not to play cricket for 10 days. Marshall ignored all that. And he came and batted at number 11 and he helped Larry Gomes
to score a century.
And after that, he came back, Amanath, and he took 7 for 53.
All the pain he inflicted on the batsman.
Yes,
on
indeed.
the English batsman.
Yes,
I remember
indeed,
that test very well.
Yes, indeed, sir.
That is one of the greatest stories of courage and sheer determination by any cricketer. We lost the call? Okay.
Well, if you can give us a call again at 732-800-1008. Once again, 732-800-1008. Amanath, again, for July 14, 1997.
1997.
Sri Lanka beat Pakistan by 15 runs in Pepsi Asia Cup.
Okay.
Sri Lanka, then that was against Pakistan. Now we'll move on to the birthdays.
Okay.
Born July 14th, 1863.
Okay, a little ahead of my time.
A left-arm bowler for Australia in one test 1894 and 95 is Arthur Cunningham.
Okay.
Born July 14, 1937.
1937. So he'll play around 1957, 62 in that time.
He was a Pakistani leg spinner.
Pakistani leg spinner? Okay.
He's taken 2 for 116 at the age of 16 and only one test that he has played.
16, that means 1954, 55.
Khalid Hassan.
Okay, that must be he toured England in 1954 against England.
Precisely right.
He must have played against England.
Also born
Khalid Hassan. So 16, he must have been very young, one of the youngest test players.
One test.
He must have been a very young test cricketer. He must be on the list of young test players.
Yes.
If he's just 16 at that time.
Also born July 14, 1957.
1957, so 25.
A New Zealand cricketer.
Okay.
Yeah, batsman. He played against West Indies in 1980. Peter Webb.
Okay, 1980. I think West Indies lost that Test match.
Yes, they did.
I remember that. 1980 they played in.
I know because I'm reading this thing. And you don't have that information. That's why.
1980 they lost that Test match, and they didn't lose a Test match for the next 15 years.
Correct.
A series, rather than Test match. They didn't lose a series for 15 years after that.
Also born July 14, 1965.
1965. So
Victorian fast bowler. Later, he became the Australian Cricket Board chief executive, Jamie Sutherland.
Okay. I've heard the name Jamie Sutherland, yes.
Born July 14, 1967.
Okay, 25 years.
Sri Lankan wicketkeeper batsman, Hassan Tilakratne.
Oh, he played 80 tests. He was a captain.
Yes, he was a captain.
He was a captain. He also then had allegations of fixing and all that.
Yes. He's the same individual.
He's got about 10, 11 centuries. He scored.
Correct.
He was a very good cricketer for Sri Lanka.
Also born July 14th, 1982.
1982. 25.
Opening bowler for Bangladesh first test is Ranjan Das.
Ranjan Das. Doesn't ring a bell.
Amanath will move on to the obituaries now.
Okay.
Passed away July 14, 1930.
1930.
He's played for South Africa. W.H. Ashley.
Okay, ring a bell.
Also passed away July 14, 1938. Again, a South African. He's played 3 tests for South Africa between 1895 and 96 series. Is Robert Poor.
Robert Poor, okay.
And also passed away July 14, 1940.
Okay.
18 tests for Australia between 1898 and 1905 is Bill Howell.
Bill Howell.
Bill Howell.
Okay.
Passed away July 14th, 1949.
1949.
1949. He's played 2 tests for England, 4 tests for South Africa.
Oh, he played for 2. I'll know this cricketer.
We just talked about one of his brothers, I believe,
Hearn.
or uncles maybe.
Hearn.
Frank Hurney.
Oh, Frank Hearn, yeah.
Frank Hurney. Passed away July 14, 1951. The last survivor of 1882 Oval Test.
Okay, that's the Ashes Test.
Correct. Sammy Jones.
Sammy Jones.
Sammy Jones.
Okay.
Also passed away July 14th, 1983. His place test for England in 1924 is Jack McBrien.
Okay.
Amanat, that was our This Day in Cricket segment for July 14, 2012. Friends, you are listening to Full Toss. This is your host, Amit, along with Amanat on Radio Dil. We are online. It's a free website, radiodil.com. For iPhone downloads, application known as Radio Dil. You can also listen to us on your regular phones. Dialing the number 408-418-5000. 408-418-5000 is the phone number for Android phones. Download application known as Tune Radio. Phone number in the studio is 732-800-1008. Once again, that is 732-800-1008. Aap sun rahe Radio Dil. Dil se Dil tak. Amanat, we'll go ahead and take a short drinks break. But before we do that, here's a quick look at the scorecard for West Indies and New Zealand. And here's the scorecard right now. New Zealand is chasing 265. They're currently at 50 for loss of 1 wicket in 7 overs. What's going on here, Amanat?
I think they're doing pretty well.
32 for Nicol, 23 deliveries, 3 boundaries and 2 sixes.
I think they are ahead of the clock at this stage.
Right now, they're at 7.14 runs per over.
Yes.
In 7
but
overs,
can they maintain it? We don't know.
Can they maintain it? That's something that we have to look at, Amanat.
We'll see. Before the end of the show, we'll have a good idea.
Well, friends, stay tuned. We'll be right back after these short messages from... Welcome back, friends. As promised, it was indeed a pretty short drinks break. You are listening to Full Toss. This is your host, Amit. Time in the studio is 2:35. And phone number in the studio is 732-800-1008. Would like to welcome back our listeners for the second half of the broadcast. Just a quick hello to our listeners. A quick hello to Skanda, who's listening to us from Dayton, New Jersey. And also to Mr. Anand Godbole, who's listening to us from Tampa, Florida. A quick thank you from the Full Toss crew here. Thank you for staying with us and thank you for giving us your support for so long. Amanat, welcome back to the second half.
Thank you. Pleasure being back.
And before we went on the break, we had discussed, we talked about Sri Lanka and Pakistan. We talked about retirement of Mark Boucher. And Amanat, I still have a lot more to discuss about some retirements.
Okay, go ahead.
I know we had a pretty interesting This Day in Cricket segment also. Now, just a quick reminder for our listeners, you can always log on to our blog, fulltosscricket.com. We're also on the Twitter with the tagline, Full Toss Cricket. If you want to send us an email here, our email address is info@fulltosscricket.com. And Amanat was keeping retirements in mind. There are a few more retirements. Taibu.
Tatenda
Taibu of Zimbabwe.
Yes, and that is a surprise one.
That's a surprise one. He has taken a retirement at a very early age, Amanat.
Yes.
From international crickets. And the reasons he has cited are also...
pretty interesting.
Pretty interesting reasons. I believe he wants to go
back to the church. And he has served Zimbabwean cricket for a long time. He's done a superb job with them, and I just wish he had stayed a little bit longer with this team because this team is in the process of rebuilding, and he's in his prime.
He's in his prime, and at this time, Zimbabwe would have definitely needed him at this point. And just a quick reminder for listeners: over the last year or so, Zimbabwe cricket has improved. They are showing a lot of courage. And I think they needed somebody like Taibu to give them some encouragement. But we wish him the best. And we thank him also for what he has done for the cricketing world. And his contributions will be remembered.
Yeah, definitely. The fact that he played about 28 tests and 150 one-day matches. He has scored a very good test century also. I think that's going to be remembered by most cricketers. And He was like a live wire, short guy, but tremendous amount of talent he had.
Yes, indeed, sir. Yes, indeed. And another retirement, big news from Cricket Australia.
Yes, Brett Lee.
Brett Lee has taken a retirement from international cricket altogether. However, he said he will he'll make himself available for IPL and some other
and Big Bash
League. But Brett Lee has taken a retirement from international cricket as well. Your thoughts about that, Amarnath?
I think he's one of the great fast bowlers produced by Australia. Though I wouldn't rate him at the same level of Glenn McGrath because, one, he has played fewer tests. He's played only about 76 tests. But he bowled a lot faster. And to be able to take so many test wickets, 310 wickets, puts him in a very elite league. Any fast bowler who takes 300 wickets goes into a special book. Because it takes a lot to be a fast bowler. And even in ODIs, he took 380 wickets in ODIs. That also is phenomenal. So I think he has done a great service for Cricket Australia from '99. I followed he made his debut against India.
He did.
In Melbourne. I remember in that Melbourne Test 1999 he started. And he was one of the cricketers who really loved to play in India. He was a great showman. And there was never a dull moment when he was there. It was a great sight to see him steaming in and bowling at full pace. And yes, sometimes he could be expensive. But I would say overall, it was a treat to watch Brett Lee in full form. So we want to wish him the very best and thank him for his service to cricket. We at Full Toss definitely wish him the best in his days ahead.
Amarnath, will move on to our next segment, and that is Sri Lanka versus India. India will be touring Sri Lanka.
Yes.
Later next week. And a quick news from Team India is Irfan Pathan, who will be replacing the injured Vinay Kumar.
Yes.
He gets a surprise call. I know Pathan has been a regular feature for at least last 8 months or so. More than that, I believe.
See,
right after the World Cup, he was included in the team.
Pathan, I hope, makes use of this opportunity. He has been now in and out of the Indian team for the last 8 years. He first burst into the scene in 2003, 2004. And there were comparisons to Wasim Akram and whatnot. And it is unfair to put that kind of a burden on a young kid at that stage. And his form fell off, or he had injuries, and he just didn't deliver the greatness one expected of him. Okay? And later on, his brother took over.
Yusuf
Pathan took over. And so the fact that now he's getting his chance back into the Indian team, it appears that he had a very good stint at the net session at the National Cricket Academy.
Yes, that's one of the reasons they have included him, I should say.
And it is very important that Irfan Pathan not to lose hope. He has to deliver at this stage, and if he delivers, he still has a very long career ahead of. He's in his prime at this stage. If he keeps himself physically fit, he has become a better batsman. I remember when his bad days started after Greg Chappell tried to convert him into a batsman.
He was promoted at number 3.
He became a good batsman, but his bowling fell off. And that's what really ruined him. So he became neither a batsman nor a bowler. I hope he gets back his form as a bowler first. I want him to be a good bowler and a useful bat, not the other way around. And if he becomes, India needs an all-rounder. Or I would say a half all-rounder. Let me put it that way.
I like that word of your half all-rounder.
We want a half all-rounder. Because the days of full all-rounders are no longer there. I would say Yuvraj Singh was for a long time a half all-rounder. But of course in the World Cup, he became a full all-rounder. Okay? So we need good half all-rounders. I would put Irfan Pathan in that category.
Here's a quick look at the fixture for India and Sri Lanka. The first one-day international will be played at Hamatara in Sri Lanka. That will be on July 21st. Second one-day international, Sri Lanka and India, same venue on July 24th. Third one international, Sri Lanka versus India, will be played at the Premadasa Stadium in Colombo. That will be on July 28th. Fourth one will be played again at the same venue, July 31st. And fifth one international will be played at the Pelkali Stadium That will be played on August 4th.
Perikali is at Kandy.
It's Kandy, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I think it's outskirts.
I've visited Kandy.
How was it?
Oh, it is a beautiful place.
I hear a lot of good things about this venue and the country overall.
Kandy is a very beautiful place, just off Colombo. And I went in 1983, before all the trouble started. But it's a beautiful place.
So here, that was the venue for Sri Lanka and India. And Amarnath, we discussed that last time also. This is one of those unnecessary series that is taking place. It has absolutely no significance whatsoever.
Way too much of cricket.
So we'll wait and see what happens.
I want to see how Dhoni is going to choose his team.
That's something that is debatable.
Is he going to give Ajinkya Rahane a chance to play? Because you've got Sehwag and Gambhir to open. One down will be Virat Kohli at number 3. He'll be Suresh Raina will be number 4. You'll have Rohit Sharma at number 5. Who will be number 6? Number 7 will be Captain Dhoni, or Dhoni will come on number 6. Who will be number 7? And you've got 4 bowlers. I expect Zahir Khan to be there. I expect Irfan Pathan to be there. Now, 2 spinners. He'll take Ashwin, a quarter all-rounder, if I can call him.
I don't consider Ashwin to be a strike bowler, or even for that matter. Yes,
he can contain runs.
Initially, when Ashwin came, he was very, very good, but then it didn't take batsmen a long time to figure him out.
Pragyan Ojha is there. Rahul Sharma is there. So out of those 3 spinners, whom are you going to take?
By the way, talking about Rahul Sharma, his name was amongst the one that and there was a club in Mumbai where they had a raid about
in the rave party.
In the rave party, and he was one of the players.
But I think he was clean.
He was clean.
Yes.
He had a pretty close encounter.
Yes.
Of almost getting his career out the door. But I hope Sharma gets a chance to play. And what I also expect is a rotation policy. You have 5 one-day international. This is a series being played, which you and I both agree that this will be affected by rain anyway. Yeah. I think they should definitely have Rahane rotate. They should have the openers rotate for each of the matches. And let's give this guy a chance.
They should give Manoj Tiwari a chance to play. Manoj Tiwari is in the team, so they could sit down Rohit Sharma in one of the games.
Amarnath, real quickly, this morning, Mohammad Kaif has received a support from a very unexpected supporter. Anil Kumble is backing Mohammad Kaif
to come back
in the Test squad, and he's the reasons for his siding is Kaif has been impressive in the last couple of years in domestic front. He's been scoring heavily. And I was a little surprised to see that Kumble was, to some extent, was trying to push his case in saying that somebody needs to fill in Rahul Dravid's shoes. Well, those are pretty big shoes to fill in anyway. But I do agree with his point that some of the seniors now retiring at age 31, Kaif is still pretty solid. Remember one thing, Kaif when he disappeared from the scene altogether. At that time, you had Suresh Raina, Rohit Sharma, Virat Kohli. All these players came in at that particular time. None of them have really cemented their place in the Test side.
I would say I would give Virat Kohli the nod. He's cemented. He played well in Australia.
Virat Kohli has cemented his place. Suresh Raina, I'm still a bit shaky.
No, Suresh Raina is not a Test player.
Rohit Sharma, I'm shaky about him anyway. We're all
in all formats.
In all formats, he's consistently inconsistent.
So I would say yes. If Kumble gives him
right now at age 31, I do agree with Kumble that there's definitely Mohammad Kaif is at his prime.
He's at his prime. He's got very limited range of strokes, but he's got a lot of determination.
Yes, indeed.
And for a Test batsman, it's not a question of playing strokes. It's a question of
temperament.
It's a question of temperament to play 2 sessions. Can you play 60 overs of batting non-stop? Amarnath, that's what is the hallmark of a great batsman.
Now, real quickly, Amarnath, we'll move on to friends. You are listening to Full Toss. This is your host, Amit, along with Amarnath on Radio Dil. Online, it's a free website, radiodil.com. Phone number in the studio, 732-800-1008. Sri Lanka, Amarnath. England and South Africa.
Yes, that's going to be a great series.
That's going to be a very, very good series. This is going to be a real test. Now, England routed Australia completely.
In the one-day matches.
One-day matches, right? Now you have the South Africans visiting England.
Yes.
England at their best right now.
Absolutely.
I have not seen England playing this way in the last decade or so.
one-day matches, they are a revelation. I'm surprised, totally surprised.
Indeed, sir. And I'm pleasantly surprised to see the English player performing this way. Yes, I have to give the fact that they are playing home and England has always been devastating. But put that aside, I think this English cricket team is absolutely phenomenal. And if they continue playing this way, they have a pretty good chance for the next, they have a good shot at the next World Cup, Amarnath, if they continue performing this way.
Yes, but it's going to be in Australia, remember?
It's going to be in Australia, I understand. So here comes South Africa, who will be facing England. And remember last week I talked about Ravi Bopara, Amarnath?
Yes, he's being pushed.
Yes, he's being pushed now. Tomorrow is the selection for the test side, and he's one of the prime candidates.
There's a good chance he'll make it.
There's a good chance because of his recent performance against Australia.
But that's one-day matches. Test matches are different. And I'm still not convinced and he's a good test player.
Last week also you were on the same point, Amarnath. And I remember you discussing the same point. But let's see what happens tomorrow.
Sure.
If Ravi Bopara should get a chance to represent his country in the test, should he get a test cap. I know in the recent past he has dealt with a lot of injuries that has kept him away. But given the opportunities that he has received so far, he has done decently.
No, as a one-day player, he's very good. He's a good batsman, good bowler for one-day formats. Test matches, he was not able to cement his place. He played well against West Indies, I remember, in a few years back, but he couldn't keep it going. See, this is the time where he has to shine because Australia, he's got a big series against South Africa. I'm very eager to see how South Africa. It's unfortunate South Africa doesn't have Mark Boucher. But with AB de Villiers there, it should be quite interesting to see whether South Africa can match England.
Here's a quick look at the venue, the fixture for us, England and South Africa. The first test will begin on July 19th.
Next Thursday.
Next Thursday.
I'm going to get up early morning to watch it.
They're playing at Oval.
Okay.
The second test will be played at Leeds from August 2nd till the August 6th. This is going to be a very interesting series, Amarnath.
I'm very shocked. They're having only 3 test matches.
They're only having 3 test matches.
They should have at least 4, if not 5. Why do everybody get on BCCI's case that they're not promoting test cricket?
Talking about Tony Greig here?
Yes. I think all cricket boards are guilty.
Well, friends, Amarnath, we'll move on to our domestic cricket now.
Go ahead.
A lot of cricket is happening right in our backyard.
Yes, go ahead.
And deserves a lot of mention also. Last week we have talked about 3 leagues, Millennium Cricket League, New Jersey Softball and Cricket League. We have talked about the Garden State League. Now today we'll be talking about the CLNJ League, Cricket League of New Jersey, Amarnath.
Okay.
And this league also has pretty good teams. And real quickly, Amarnath, I just want to go over some of the highlights.
Okay.
About this match. Now, this is the result for last week when Edison Cricket Club, they won a match. In 40 overs, they had scored 202 against the Indus Cricket Club.
Oh, that's nice.
And here's a look at the quick scorecard. This match took place last week. This was played at the Thomas Jefferson Middle School right here in Edison. And this match took place on July 8th. Here's the scorecard. ECC, that is Edison Cricket Club, batting first in 40 overs. They scored a good 202. And if I'm while looking at the scorecard, Amarnath, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 catches were taken in this innings.
That's interesting.
2 of them were bowled out. Top scorer in this match was Parthiv Mehta of ECC, who scored 80 runs. Sahil Vakil he was out on 3. Amit Patel 0. Raj Bhavsar, remember we talked about Raj Bhavsar?
Yeah.
He scored 13. Vinit Yadav 23. Vipul Patel 6. Bimal Patel 22. Sachin Pathare scored 21. Praneeth Kumar 7. Rajesh Naik 1. And Devesh Patel 3. And in response, Indus Cricket Club, they started batting. Their openers were out at a very quick session, with Samir Bando was out by Vipul Patel at 3. Anil Prabhu was out on 0. Kanan Morgan was out on 43. He missed out his half century by just 7 runs. Raghu Prasad 12. Ramaswamy Hariharan was LBW bowled by Bimal Patel at the score of 25. Vikram Nadig was out on 7. Prem Sanjeev Vuttanam was out on 4. 14 for Ashwin Raghu, 15 for Girish Menon. And they were in 33.2 overs with loss of 9 wickets, 135 for Indus Cricket Club, Amarnath.
Yes.
Now, here are some of the top batsmen for CLNJ.
Okay.
And as soon as I have this information, there we go. Division 1, you have Rimal Patel. In 9 games, he has 404 runs with an average of 57.
That's very good.
That's pretty impressive, Amarnath.
Yes.
Keyur Dave of the Keyur Dave, in 8 matches, he has 376 with an average of 47. Adnan Naseem of Noor Cricket Club, Amarnath.
Okay.
This is a very good cricket club, by the way. If you haven't seen their matches, I would recommend definitely go see them. In 10 matches, he has scored 364. Naved Gul of Stars Cricket Club. In 10 matches, he has scored 352. And Basit Nazi of Crescent. And in 9 matches, he has scored 328.
Average of 41.
Average of 41, Amarnath.
No, it's very impressive. I think we need to give encouragement to all the local talent.
Now, here's Division 2. Now, there are divisions. There are 1, 2, and 3 divisions.
My God.
So, Division 2, here are the top 5 batsmen. Heather Ali of Legends Cricket Club. In 10 matches, he has scored 442 with an average of 44. Sudhir Reddy of Mavericks. In 10 matches, he has scored 398 with an average of 56. 56, he has. Ibrahim Mirza of HBCC. In 10 matches, he has scored 338 runs. Shantaram Serukar of Incredibles scored 322 in 9 matches. And in Division 3, you have Fayaz Hussain of Stallions. 337 runs he has scored in 9 matches. Pranav Reddy Gangam of NJBCC. He scored 334 in 9 matches with an average of 47. Srikar Reddy of Princeton Cricket Club, 305 in 10 matches. Nishant Priya of Stallions, 305 in 9 matches, Amarnath. So here was the top batsman, and here's a quick look at the top bowlers for the Cricket League of New Jersey. Anup Desai of Warriors, in 10 matches he has taken 22 wickets, Amarnath. This is Division 1.
Okay.
Again, Division 1, Harshit Patel of SGCC, in 10 matches he has taken 21 wickets. Bimal Patel of Edison Cricket Club, he has taken 20 wickets in 8 matches.
I wonder, this Harshit Patel, is he the same IPL guy? There's one Harshit Patel in
I don't know.
Okay.
Also, Mustafa Khan of Middlesex Cricket Club.
I know him, Mustafa Khan.
Mustafa Khan, he has taken...
He's a good batsman too.
20 wickets in 9 matches. And Jamin Goswami of SGCC has taken 20 wickets in 10 matches. Now we'll move on to Division 2, Amarnath. Here are the top bowlers of Division 2. Rohin Rana of HCC, 26 wickets in 9 matches. Hariharan Kalikanchan, I'm 100% sure I just butchered his last name, Amarnath.
Okay.
In 10 matches, by the way, he plays for Incredibles. In 10 matches he has taken 22 wickets. Samir Bhosle of HBCC, 19 wickets in 10 matches. And Yamunan Kannan of Piscataway Cricket Club, he has taken 17 wickets in 10 matches, Amarnath. There's a lot of things that are happening.
Yes, no, it's very exciting to see a lot of cricket happening locally.
Now, here's a quick look at NJSBCL, Amarnath, and I just want to go over some of the matches they'll be playing this week. And as soon as I have that information for you, I can just go ahead and do that. But NJSBCL, this is a New Jersey softball cricket league.
They are the ones with the passion.
Exciting bunch of cricketers. Let me tell you one thing right now. Exciting cricketers. They bring in so much of passion. I have seen them play in various grounds. Now, here's a quick look at some of the matches being played today. Division 1 Pool A, Kings 11 versus New Jersey Eagles Cricket Club. They'll be playing today. Also, you have Piscataway CC versus VIHO Desi Warriors. They'll be playing at Division 1 Pool A. Also, Division 1 Pool A is the Legends versus the Blue Raiders. And Storm Riders will be playing Newport CC at Lincoln Park.
Wonderful.
So these were some of the matches for NJSBCL. Amarnath, unfortunately, that's all the time we had left for today.
Okay, I think we covered a lot.
We still had to cover some of the more domestic cricket, but we'll definitely give them more highlight in our next
We hope
show.
we can get some of their players and office bearers to come and talk to us.
And in next week's show and in the following week's show, Amarnath, we do have some of the representatives from these cricket clubs who will be coming and talking to us.
Yes.
And hopefully we'll probably get some of the players, especially some of the top players we have been mentioning so far.
We'd like to interview them.
And we'll continue letting our listeners know about the progress of each of these players, and especially the top batsmen, top bowlers, fielders. We'll try to highlight them in our show.
Sure.
Friends, you were listening to Full Toss with Amit and Amanat on Radio Dil, online, radiodil.com. For iPhone downloads, free application known as Radio Dil. You can also listen to us on your regular phones, dialing the number 408-418-5000 for Android phones, application known as Tune Radio. Phone number in the studio is 732-800-1008. Aap sun rahe Radio Dil. Dil se Dil tak. Would like to thank all the listeners for staying with us and giving their support for so long. But above all, Amanat, I want to thank you for your contributions, your expertise, and your knowledge you bring to this table. It makes it absolutely much more interesting.
It's always a privilege and pleasure talking about cricket to such an audience.
And Amanat will be back once again. Just a quick reminder for our listeners: they can always log on to our blog fulltosscricket.com.
Yes,
and to read about some of the fundamental analysis that Amanat has to conduct and some of the did you knows and this in cricket history. Real quickly before we sign off, New Zealand is 74 for loss of 3 wickets in 13 overs, Amanat.
74 for 3. That makes it tough for them.
Exactly. Now, here's the reason why I'm bringing this up again. Now, Nicol was out on 35. Brandon McCullum was out on 10. Currently at the crease is Ross Taylor at 17. And giving him company is Williamson at 3. 74 for loss of 3 wickets in 13 overs, Amanat. Real quickly.
I think odds are against New Zealand winning.
If they continue losing wickets at this rate,
they'll lose.
May God bless you.
Yeah, sorry.
So 74 for 3 in 13 overs. New Zealand still requires another 191 runs in 37 overs with 7 wickets remaining. Thank you very much, Amanat. Thank you very much, friends. Have a fantastic weekend and stay safe. We'll be back here next week, same time, 2 to 3. Till then, everybody have a very, very good weekend.